Hello, everybody. You could call me Hunch. Today, we're going to be talking about where I think we are in the market, some of the things that I'm going to be doing if this is a bear or chop sideways, which I continue to think is the most likely outcome for the foreseeable short to medium term. That doesn't mean we won't re-enter, like price discovery where we go above all-time highs. It's just where I think we are. I've been saying this ever since Whiff on Dome happened with Ansem. I called the top. I said, okay, for sure, it's most likely outcome. I don't think anyone can deny that because of how rambunctious I am on Twitter. So if you don't follow me, go follow me on there. I'm out of control on Twitter, and I get a little blowback for it. But I'm absolutely right 99% of the time. So just kidding. Nobody's right 99% of the time. It's 98% of the time. Okay, so we're going to be talking about some of the things, some of the reasons behind why I think we're going to be in this chop sideways movement for 6 months to 2 years. I made a video a long time ago when I called the top last time. And I said, there's so many L2s. They got all this market cap. Everyone's getting confused. They got L2s. They got L3s, right? All the ones that were supposed to scale, the L1s that were supposed to scale to take over for the ones that couldn't, they started needing L2s, right? I mean, so you had all these ZK rollups coming out. The market was like, what am I? They were just like bouncing around. No new money was coming in, so on and so forth. So we're going to talk about all that, but before we do that, I'm going to show you a video of my son's first belly laugh. Okay, it's so good. It is so good. Okay, just hear the deep giggle in his belly. Okay, it's coming. One more time for austerity. Just fantastic. Now, I know a lot of you guys think I'm crazy on Twitter or whatever, but like, I'm literally just a normal dude. Like, I'm like, I got a happy son, I got a wife, like, I have a job, like, I'm very normal, man. Like, so you guys are just out of control sometimes, so settle down. Okay, so to get into it, why I think we're at like a possible chop sideways kind of thing going on. We've been down only for ETH, and I've been saying this for a year and a half, maybe 2 years at this point. I made tons of videos about it, how I said this is never going to go up, right? But to be honest, I'm a little concerned at this point. This is nothing like the last cycle. It feels like, at some point, like ETH got strength. ETH is not getting strength. This thing is down only. We had this breakup here now, and now I think we're going to capitulate again at some point. So I think the market is confused. They don't know where to go. Do they start rotating towards ETH? Do they start rotating towards Bitcoin? So on and so forth. So again, I was quoting this guy. So this is the next another good thing, right? Crypto bros are wrong. They can and will cause a recession if necessary. They don't have a pump. They don't have to pump our bags if they really don't want to, right? Crypto's so small, they really could destroy the economy absolutely overnight if they wanted to. Everyone talks about the election, blah, 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 blah. I don't think the Fed is ready to give up control. And I think if they let it go too far, right, they're risking, their credibility, they're risking the economy, they're risking the institution itself, it feels like at this point, especially with Bitcoin around. A lot of people are saying they're closing off the exits because, with the Lightning Network and all these things and private wallets and stuff, because they're going to debase, and they might, right? There's a real possibility of that. But if they're going to debase that hard, there's going to be some type of liquidity event, right? And I don't know if I said this. Let me see if I can find it, right? 6 months to 2 years downward, then liquidity event that causes ETF to dump to cover all people's leverage. Print, resume bull. You can hate me, agree with me, or disagree with me, whatever. So, right. So if they're going to debase, as everyone all over crypto Twitter is saying, is they're going to do, there has to be an event, right? They're not just going to print $50 trillion out of nowhere, right? There has to be like a world war there, right? I mean, and maybe they're setting it up with, Ukraine just debasing over a 10-year period, maybe, but that's not going to cause this explosive Bitcoin move that everyone's talking about. It's going to cause chop sideways, right? I think that's more of a likely outcome, right? So there's another reason. The market's confused because of regulators, right? They're attacking it nonstop. They're calling it money. They're calling it assets. They're calling it, I think I saw an interesting tweet the other day by Crypto T. She's a big, I think, YouTuber or content creator on Twitter. And she was basically like, you know, all these different regulation bodies call it something different, right? Like the FINRA, something that regulates money, they call it money, right? The IRS calls it an asset. The commodities, the CFTC calls it a commodity. You know, so they call it a speculative mania, right? A pet rock, right? Every agency, every financial expert, they have a different opinion of what this is. And they're attacking it, right? There is some regulatory risk that is more than the past, right? It's actually, people are actually starting to leave, it feels like, right? So I think we're underplaying this regulatory risk, not towards, you know, the asset actually continuing to exist at this point, right? Which it was in the past, but just to affect the price for like a longer period of time, okay? So, and this is finally what I'm going to say about it. If I'm confused, so is the market. I'm confused, headwinds, right? So, you know, it just feels like we're bouncing around, right? There's all these Bitcoin L2s, there's Solanas, there's all these new things coming out, right? There's NFTs, there's ordinals, there's, you know, there's DeFi. I'm not sure everybody really knows where to go. I don't think retail is here yet. I think they're happy as a clam, right? They're getting all their student loans paid off, you know, so on and so forth. You know, they're angry about all these different things. I don't think they're paying attention to crypto. I'm sorry. I just don't think it. Again, I feel like we can go up, right? But I think the most likely situation is 6 months to 2 years of chop, right? We're already a month and a half into that, right? So all I've got to do to be right is another few months, right? So I'm already hitting the head on the nail, or the nail on the head. So here's another one. I still believe MERL and the Merlin chain is a scam, liquidity dump on investors. As stacks community ripped into BVM, when I support it, they forgot it. I was totally right about Merlin, right? So what's happening with Merlin is a scam or a liquidity dump. I don't really know, but it's down only. Their hoo-hoo, right, is down catastrophically from the top when they were all pumping it. All of them were exit liquidity. And I'm absolutely surprised that I get so much blowback from memes on Stacks because, first of all, I've been a Stacks content creator. I've been supporting Stacks because I think it's the way to go. And I get so much blowback about all these memes and dumping on people. Bro, like, I'm just like here supporting Stacks for multiple years. And you think like I'm this horrible person, right? I'm not flip-flopping. I get that a ton. I'm flip-flopping. Where does that come from? I have been the most consistent about I say what my theoretical portfolio is. I say, you know, Bitcoin DeFi is what I believe in. I say memes are gambling, right? I stay more consistent than anyone else, but I'm going to get off my soapbox. Okay, so what's going on with the Merlin chain? Is it a scam? I don't know, but it came out at a $2-point-something billion valuation, right? BVM is like 200 million, fully diluted, 40 million or 30 million now, or 20 million because it's bleeding, right? So the discrepancy between all the L2s and their valuations is confusing as crap, right? Alex is adding another L2, which is Core. I don't know a lot about it, right? It's got 2.3 million followers. It's another L2. So I'm getting confused, right? I still don't know what Sovereign's doing with Build on Bitcoin. Their Bitcoin OS, very confused, right? BVM is another L2, which I actually think is second best to Stacks. I could be wrong about that because I got so much blowback from the Stacks community. Again, you know what? Let me just say, I get so much blowback from the Stacks community. Like sometimes I just feel like, fuck it. Like these people are out of control. Like, you know, who is bringing you this level of alpha for no compensation? I have no sponsors. I have a banner that says not financial advice. Okay. I've made no money. I've taken no payments from anybody. I've had multiple opportunities. I've taken no money from anybody. Okay. I got blowback when I asked for subscriptions. I get blowback for literally everything in this place. And I feel like I'm one of the nicest guys here because I like tweet about real scams, right? Like Valar not doing their IDO on their own fucking DeFi platform, right? I mean, like Merlin is dumping massively all their assets that they locked up, got all that liquidity, right? Even if it's not a scam, right? Even if Merlin is not a scam, listen to this. They made you lock up all of your assets, all your bitmaps, all your TRAC, all your whatever, and they go, oh, we'll take all that liquidity, right? They pump the price, they lock it up, and now it's just like dump city, bro. Like, who do you think benefits from that? Who do you think benefits? Like, are you stupid? Like, I just don't understand this concept. Like, it's just so great. And then you got to turn your Bitcoin into WBTC on Ethereum, and then you call it a L2. That seems just like WBTC on an Ethereum smart contract. It seems nothing like a Bitcoin L2, and it's not a Bitcoin L2 just because you put your assets in a multi-sig. I just feel like I'm living in an alternate reality with these people, man. Like, I just feel like they can't analyze anything. So that's my soapbox. Again, more confusion. Now, what's the bright light in all this, right? Stacks, you know, as confusing as all this is, right? They're building, right? Alex is absolutely building, hands down, fabulous product, right? The fees are going up. You're going to need L2s. But what's important about this Alex thing is, right, you have all these bridges to runes, right, so on and so forth. So as you saw here, right, all these stacks NFTs are now going up. I have a theory, right, just like WELSH, which I'm not going to go into, but WELSH became a BRC20, and then it became a rune. I'm guessing the same thing can happen with these stacks NFTs, right? So there may be value because, you know, I don't think NFT will ever be valuable on stacks. It will only be valuable, right? And it's valuable now. I get it, the price pumped, right? But I mean like long-term value. I think the long-term value is taking and converting it to the L1 asset, and then, you know, putting it on the block, and then taking it back and moving it around the L2 if you want to, like, you know, sell it on the L2 and then settle back, right? So I really, and Stacks people are going to hate me, I think Stacks NFTs have zero value. The only reason they have value is because they're connected to the Bitcoin blockchain and hash on it. And I don't think that's enough. I don't think hashing on it to prove that a transaction happened is enough. I think it actually has to be able to live and breathe, right? You're not going to have a piece of art, right, that's worth $250 million on stack, like living and breathing on stacks. That's not what real art is. Real art is, you know, taken care of. It's curated. It's in museums, right? They're not going to, like, all these stacks, NFTs, buffs, bulls, and Looney Tunes, right? They've got a point, but I really just don't think they're ever going to be that valuable, period, until they become an ordinal. They get on the Bitcoin blockchain at some point, which is, I think, is entirely possible. You know, you could mint over on stacks, and then it's more cost effective to then bridge it over, right? Like, I'm all for that type of stuff. Okay, so we're confused, but what are we doing? We know stacks is good, right? So, you know, theoretically, I would be DCing stacks, and I said this in another video. You could be staking your stacks for Bitcoin or more stacks or whatever you want. I prefer more Bitcoin, right, because you have that, all this confusion with the L2s, right, who's going to win out. I'd like this move, right? All these things are down so far. If Bitcoin drops, I mean, these could drop even further. But I think TRAC, BVM, SOV, DIKO stacks, Bitmap, right? I think Bitmap is like getting to a pico bottom. I don't see why you would not be trying to bid on some of these. I think Bitmap is going to be a huge in the metaverse in the future. I think it's stupid not to be paying attention to it, even if you bought like one or two at these low prices. Right? Not financial advice, do whatever you want. It just seems that at some point, people are going to revisit Bitmap. I could be wrong about that, hands down, but the risk reward seems like a substantial amount right now. Okay. Let's keep going, right? I said this, every influencer on earth is selling. They're in Dubai. They don't care one way or the other. Wait for the event. The dump is coming fast or it's coming slowly over 6 months to 2 years. Ivan on text, money line is voodoo, right? Every influencer on the internet making YouTube videos, oh, this always happens. This is it, right? We drop. It takes us months to get past all-time high again. Blah, blah, blah. You know, they think they know so much, right? They think they know so much, right? I don't know anything. All I know is it seems like the most likely outcome, and I don't have predictive models. I don't have AI doing all this nonsense. I don't have the money line, right? I just look around what's going on, right? And the normies aren't entering, right? There's no new money. There's all new L2s. Some are EVM. Some are you know, the stacks version, or some are BVM, which is the modulated, right? And people are just confused as shit. I mean, that's the way it is in reality. Like, I'm living in reality. I don't know where all you guys are living, but I'm living in reality. So, you know, I'm going to be focused on quality, right? This is Trevor talking about it, right? About them integrating runes. So I think Alex, right, safe bet if we do go down for a while, right? I mean, and you could be acquiring these shares or whatever you want to call them. I think they're shares because you get, you know, so this may be a security in the eyes of the whatever, but if it becomes a currency too, right, there's a lot of gray area. I'm going to let the Congress decide that. But, you know, they're continuing to build, and I think that you could see with all these bridges and stuff, like Stacks is going to be a hub to be moving things from L1s to L2s to all these, and then not just between the L1 and the L2 stacks, between the L1 and other L2s like Core, right, with their X-Link. So they could go from Bitcoin to Stacks to Core, or Bitcoin to Stacks to BVM, or Bitcoin to Stacks to Merlin, or whatever it is. So quality, right? Bitcoin, all right, that's Alex. Okay, so again, I just want to bring these up. So this might be another play. This is not part of a theoretical portfolio. This is just something that I picked up on. These Prometheus and Runestones dropped heavily after their snapshots. I think those will, I think when retail, and if they do come, they're going to love these things. I think they're interactive. I think they're fun. So let me just bring up one more thing if I can. Okay, so here's Paint, right? How am I surviving this, right? You know, I've got some, you know, BVM, I've got some Stacks and Alex, right? Quality, TRAC, right? And, you know, some of these I'm not as high up in my theoretical portfolio. There's a lot of regulatory risk for that. So I was going to say Ghosty Cash. I might be dropping this, like maybe maintain some small exposure. I still think it's a fabulous product. I love it. But you can see that the government is just not going to have it. There's going to be a long-winded battle about privacy, so I support democracy. I think they should figure that out. I think that's a very reasonable position to take, right? ORNJ, I've talked about this in the past. Still no product out. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anyone using it. Huge red flag, but if they can deliver, I'm back on it, right? I've got the DIKOs. I've got the Velars, right? So all this is fluid, right? So these are out. I like BVM. I'll count this out because they don't like it, right? But I'm still, you know, you got Bitflow Finance coming. TRAC is going to have DeFi under it, so DeFi under TRAC, right? So this is my theory. It's played well, right? ORNJ blew up when I first talked about it. Ghosty Cash blew up. TRAC went, you know, 50, 60x. DIKO's gone to, you know, 20x. Alex has gone to 20 to 30x, right? BVM. Going back to where it came out as at its valuation. But okay, so what I want to talk about though is how am I surviving this, right? It's called I call it the triple layer of trust. Okay, the triple layer of trust. Triple layer of trust. Okay, so what is the triple layer of trust? Okay, so do you trust yourself, right? Do you understand something enough to buy into it, right? So I understand Stacks enough to buy into it long term and hold, right? Do you trust the triple layer of trust? Do you trust the team, right? Do you trust Munib from Stacks, right? And I'm doing Stacks as an example. Do you trust the team of BVM, right? Maybe not as much as Stacks, but you trust them a little bit. Do you trust Benny and TRAC, right? Okay, and so on and so forth. And then do you trust, what was the last one? Yourself, the team, and then the technology. Do you trust the technology, right? Do I trust the Stacks technology, right? I trust it more than BVM. I don't trust it as much as TRAC, right? So you got to layer yourself in this sort of way, right? So where is it, right? So like obviously BTC is at the top, right? And then use this triple layer of trust to think if we do go down for a prolonged period of time, that you can hold, right? That you can hold, right? So, you know, maybe Ghosty Cash and ORNJ, right? You can't hold that because we might go down. I keep losing my mouse. I'm so sorry. It's very thin. I don't know why. Okay, but you get it. The triple layer of trust. Do you trust yourself that you understand it enough? Do you trust the team that you trust them that they're going to do the right thing? And do you trust the tech? Right? Is this not a meme coin? Is this, right? Is there legitimacy to this? Is there use to it? Right? Is TRAC developing all these new cool technologies that you want to have exposure to with airdrops and so on and so forth? I think like that. So I say yes. So that's the way I'm going about it if we do go sideways to chop to 6 months. That's just the way I feel. So I got a hunch, and my hunch is I think we could be going back into a bull market and break all-time highs. I don't think so. I think we're going to go chop sideways down for 6 months. I think everyone's confused as crap. Nobody wants to admit it. I love you so much. Have a great day. Call me Hunch.